Hey there, friends! Today I've put together a whole bunch of really cool new releases you might have missed. We've got co-op battles with your crew, solo adventures, city building strategies, and even some horror with extraction shooters. So finding something to play won't be a problem. Anyway, today's going to be interesting. Hit that like button, drop a sub if you haven't already, and, well, let's get into it. Active Matter. A fresh take on the extraction shooter genre. Here we play as an operative stuck in a time loop, forced to dive again and again into quantum unstable zones for active matter. A rare resource that warps space and time. Each raid is a mix of PvE and PvP. You gotta complete quests, hunt for artifacts, fight monsters that teleport or suddenly go invisible, and don't forget, the real threat is other players. The main difference from Tarkov clones is that this game constantly switches modes. There's MMO-like objectives, Battle Royale with a shrinking zone, and pure PvP in Nexus battle format. Plus, the game isn't obsessed with basic loot. The real value is in active matter and artifacts that give powerful bonuses, while gathering trash takes a backseat. The game's got tons of features, like chronogenes, special modifiers that completely change your playstyle. How about a parkour perk that literally lets you walk on walls? Gravity anomalies let you shoot from ceilings, and drones help with recon and even bombardments. All this makes raids unpredictable and truly diverse, but you can definitely feel its early access. There are issues with shot synchronization. Sometimes the game won't let your teammate into a match, and there's no reconnect button yet. Still, the atmosphere is really good, from stalker vibes to battle royale dynamics. The game already feels like a rare experiment where the idea of a time loop and living multiverse isn't just words, but the foundation of gameplay. If you want something fresh after Tarkov, this project's definitely worth keeping on your radar. Or you can just jump into early access right now, though you'll have to pay for that. There's another extraction shooter here, Arena Breakout Infinite. It doesn't have all those cool bells and whistles like Active Matter had, but it's still solid. The game takes the familiar hardcore extraction shooter formula and reshapes it to its own rules, making gameplay way more user-friendly than the main benchmark, Tarkov. The Chinese devs here ported the genre to Unreal Engine, improved the netcode, and immediately built what players have been asking competitors for years. Proper maps with markers, clear ally identification, ability to revive fallen teammates, and even a full kill cam, which is clearly missing elsewhere. From the very start, you feel completeness. The tutorial is presented as a short story mission, and the interface is designed so healing, reloading, and sorting loot is convenient with just a couple clicks. The gunfights are also dynamic. Hit registration is more stable, and the post-raid report shows your entire route and key combat moments. Also a great foundation for planning your next runs. With the Steam release, the game feels like a more comfortable but not simplified copy of Tarkov. MEGABONK. Okay, so this isn't a joke. It's actually a really fun game, even though it doesn't seem like one at first. That's because it's an explosive survivor roguelike that pulls you into a flow of battles and endless progression from minute one. Vampire Survivors, but with an extra kick, let's say. We walk through randomly generated maps, destroy hordes of enemies, and collect experience to power up our hero and arsenal. Each upgrade drops randomly with different rarity, so two identical runs just don't happen. The game has 20 unique characters with their own abilities, over 70 items for creating builds, and hundreds of additional quests that unlock these heroes and weapons. The meme-style, upbeat music, and constant gameplay discoveries easily turn just one more run into a whole evening. At the same time, MEGABONK isn't without challenges. To unlock all the content, you'll really have to work for it. New characters and locations open through quests, and sometimes bad upgrade drops can completely crash a run literally within the first few minutes. There are enemies that catch slow heroes before you even manage to level up, which also requires careful selection of starting builds. But even with these nuances, the game feels bright and fresh, successfully combining the best ideas from Vampire Survivors and Risk of Rain 2, with its own signature humor and that meme gift animation. Anyway, give it a try. Jump Space. a fresh co-op shooter in early access where we assemble a crew and head into deep space. The main goal here is completing dangerous missions while keeping the ship running and fighting off enemies. You won't just be sitting at the helm, you'll repair hull breaches, put out fires, gather resources, and listen up. Land on planets. Everything happens without loading screens. One moment we're maneuvering between asteroids, then boom. We're already flying in open space or storming some enemy base on a planet. The ship itself can be upgraded, from shields and hull to weapons, adapting to our playstyle. We also choose roles in the game. We can be pilots, engineers, or just straight-up assault troops, and nothing limits you there. And it all looks pretty nice too. But there's one catch. Early access shows itself. There's not much content yet, unfortunately. Balance is broken in places, and for example, on high difficulties, one failed mission and you won't have enough resources for repairs. The raid's basically lost. Ship controls are sometimes janky, the shield system is wonky, there's no storage for guns, and FPS drops happen even on top-tier PCS. Sounds like a nightmare, but all this is fixable, really, over time. The main thing is, the game's core gameplay is solid, shooting feels snappy, and the team chaos when we're throwing radioactive trash overboard and yelling commands at teammates in Discord is genuinely fun. So here's the verdict. If we love co-op games and are ready to tolerate early bugs for some space fun, you can really enjoy this game even right now. And with updates, it'll get even better. Endless Legend. And this is a strategy game, but this time, it's more combat-focused. The sequel to Endless Legend, now with a 2 at the end. We start here with a small settlement and gradually build an empire balancing between city growth, industrial development, diplomacy, and of course war. There are several factions you can start with, and they're all unique. Some thrive on endless wars, others build complex alliances and expand influence, and some literally eat their own kind, their own people, creating a unique economy in the process. Sounds pretty cool. These differences reflect in everything, from city structure and technologies to battlefield tactics. Cities don't just grow by stamping out districts. You need to consider terrain, resources on neighboring tiles, turning settlements into suburbs, attaching them to capitals to avoid bloating city limits. And yeah, battles. Battles here are good. You can either fully automate fights or manually control squads, using high ground and various special abilities of each army. There are also heroes. They grow alongside troops, acquire companions, and strengthen armies directly, not just with governor buffs. The main thing, though, the world here constantly changes. Catastrophic low tides reveal new lands hiding resources, anomalies, and additional threats. These changes alter strategy before your eyes. It's important to decide in advance whether to capture freed territories or not. Spread yourself too thin. Anyway, the game carefully preserves the atmosphere of the first part. Vibrant factions, rich lore, and yeah, the signature music is here too. While updating key mechanics, the devs really nailed it. Goblin Cleanup. Oh man, this is just hilarious. A simulator where instead of heroic dungeon raids, we take on the role of goblin janitors, tasked with cleaning up after visits from those very adventuring parties. You need to not only wipe blood and remove remains, but also repair traps, arrange furniture, fill chests with treasures, and even resurrect monsters, because everything needs to look perfect for the next raid. Meanwhile, goblins have their own arsenal. Slime mops mimic trash eaters, magic for scanning garbage and restoring mana in devices. All levels here are multi-layered and gradually get harder, and the progression system with cosmetic rewards really pushes you toward perfect cleaning. By the way, you can play solo or with a crew of 3 friends. That's a whole other kind of fun. You can work smoothly together or accidentally, or not so accidentally. Create new problems because falling into some trap or a teammate dying will leave even more mess behind. Different locations, from standard catacombs to giant halls with dragons, take anywhere from half an hour to a couple hours to complete and reward you for attention to detail and order. Basically, it's easy to start but surprisingly addictive. A game that turns the routine of cleaning into a fun adventure. Especially if you play with friends. But solo, you won't play for long. Now, where you can definitely stick around for a while is the new Dying Light: The Beast. It brings us back to Kyle Crane, and immediately it feels like stepping back into that very first game, only now everything's darker and more brutal. Years of the Baron's experiments turned our hero into half-human, half-monster. And this inner beast isn't just a story detail. The game is built on his dual nature. During the day, we're basically a hunter and doing parkour across rooftops and gathering resources. But in combat, bestial rage gradually awakens. Strikes become more powerful, movement more aggressive, and you feel how growing strength is barely contained within limits. Castor Woods also works for the atmosphere. The tourist town, fields, and foggy swamps seem both beautiful and dangerous at the same time, and the complete absence of fast travel forces you to feel the world in its entirety. Every trip turns into a little adventure, especially when all you have is an SUV that also requires care and fuel. But along with this dense atmosphere comes hardcore difficulty that won't be for everyone. Nights here really became scary. Chimeras are smarter, stamina drains faster, resources are worth their weight in gold, and you feel constant pressure. Against this backdrop, bugs and time-of-day oddities really stand out. When night suddenly falls and a chase suddenly begins, but bugs here aren't frequent guests overall. Parkour also sometimes feels slow at first because the hero occasionally doesn't see ledges, and that breaks the pace too, but as you level up, everything kind of becomes normal. Anyway, Beast sometimes feels a bit raw, but its strength is that it once again makes every night a test of endurance and lets you feel Crane's internal conflict. Beautiful stuff. Town to city. Yeah, another city builder, and what are you going to do about it? But this one, by the way, is absolutely killer. A cozy but surprisingly deep constructor where you can create an entire region without being limited to one map. There's no grid here, you can lay streets however your imagination suggests, connecting neat blocks with winding alleys, and every house, lamppost, or tree is placed down to the pixel. Atmospheric voxel graphics make cities feel alive. Citizens walk the streets, lights come on, and photo mode lets you capture the best views. The whole process is accompanied by a gentle soundtrack that makes time disappear while your city transforms from a quiet hamlet into a huge center of trade and crafts. Meanwhile, behind this meditative exterior hides pretty impressive depth. Residents, for example, write personal requests here. Someone asks to build a picnic spot, someone else wants an amusement park for their kid. Each family has its own habits and needs that are pleasant to observe. The economy also develops, though gradually. New buildings open up, various decorative elements. Farms and neighboring settlements appear that you can unite into a trade network. There's a campaign with tasks and a sandbox without any restrictions. Either way, the game isn't just about decoration, but about a long, thoughtful growth story. Aethermancer. Before you is an unhurried roguelike with turn-based battles and monster collecting that feels like a logical evolution of Monster Sanctuary's ideas. We play as an Aethermancer, capable of forming soul bonds with creatures to lead a team of 3 monsters through procedurally generated locations. Each battle here isn't just an exchange of blows, but complex tactics with elements. Monsters generate mana of 4 elements, and we decide in what order and for which abilities to spend it. You can burn the opponent's ether, poison someone, keep allies under a shield, or even combine elements for powerful chains. If a monster dies, you can revive it, but with altered traits, so even losses turn into an opportunity to grow a new, strong companion. What hooks you most here is exactly this tactical depth, experimenting with builds, selecting synergies and unique combos when each level lets you choose a new skill or passive. There are about 80 monsters here, and each has its own feature, from summoning minions to stealing foreign essence. Plus there's meta progression, though it's classic, unlocking starting bonuses and improving the party, but it works as a good hook for repeat runs. And the story is just background, dialogues, short cutscenes, and lore in quest descriptions, without bright dramaturgy, but with the atmosphere of traveling through broken worlds. Would have liked more variety in bosses and skills, of course, but even now, the game confidently holds its place among the most interesting representatives of the genre. And also, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor released the other day. Who forgot, by the way? The game transfers the spirit of the original into a single-player, auto-shooter format, and does it surprisingly well. Now we're a bearded dwarf in isometric view walking through the living, procedurally generated caves of Hoxes, where not only hordes of bugs but the rock itself is part of battles. Here, not only shooting matters, which by the way is automatic, but also movement. You can drill passages, intercept positions, surround enemies, or conversely go deeper for valuable materials, or to escape. Each mission is a campaign run with objectives. You need to mine resources, repel some onslaught, and return to the pod, and so on. The game has all 4 classic archetypes from the original Deep Rock Galactic, from Gunner to Engineer, and each has their own subclasses, weapons, and upgrade styles. Gradually, various upgrades unlock that noticeably change the whole game, and mined minerals let you develop permanent bonuses between runs. Meta progression, basically. Yeah, the set of objectives isn't too diverse yet, and over time missions start to repeat, but solid weapon choice, thoughtful progression, and that signature atmosphere with the signature rock and stone make each run genuinely enjoyable. Borderlands 4. It takes us to planet Kairos, a huge new world where power is held by the Timekeeper. This despot controlling every detail of inhabitants' lives. We play as one of 4 new Vault Hunters, of course, and from the very start we feel updated dynamics. Double jump, grappling hook, sliding, and air gliding let you move much more freely. Shooting also became more varied. Weapons from different manufacturers feel different, shields give additional effects, and a separate button for healing with bonuses changes familiar battles from past games. Bosses now also have full phases and unique movesets, and the world encourages exploration. Inventory expansion and rare upgrades unlock specifically through exploring various logs, not just completing quests. Cool, yeah, but innovations didn't come without losses. Kairos amazes with its scale and landscapes, from harsh deserts to icy ridges. But because of this, detail decreased in places, in my opinion, and some zones are just kind of empty. The environmental interaction system simplified. Liquid pipes and familiar elemental chains disappeared. However, the main story is really good. Seems better than the previous part to me. The villain is well developed, and heroes aren't silent dummies anymore. They participate in cutscenes, joke, argue, even reveal their characters. Anyway, overall the game feels like a mature evolution of the series. Shooting's deeper, movements more flexible, stories presented with more attention to heroes. But still, it turned out to be a different Borderlands in the end. Voyagers of Nera. And here a completely new co-op survival game awaits you, taking us to a magical oceanic world where islands neighbor underwater ruins and giant coral towers rise above the sea. You can play solo or gather up to 10 friends on a shared server. Build bases on coastal cliffs, dive for rare materials, fight sea monsters, and awaken sleeping guardian spirits. The game's atmosphere is its strong suit. Soft but rich graphics create an impression of living watercolor. Underwater views are especially good in places reminiscent of Subnautica, and surfing waves or controlling a boat also delights with realistic physics. Plus, there's a story. The world of Nera isn't just background, but a space with history gradually revealed through quests and encounters with ancient spirits. But there are downsides too, kinda, especially noticeable when you play longer than a couple hours. Crafting's pretty scarce for now. Combat is extremely simple, like attack, block, and dodge. There are oddities in co-op too. For example, quest progress isn't shared, so friends are forced to repeat identical actions in turns. There are bugs with respawning trees and rocks, getting stuck in textures happens, and so on. Basically, after a few evenings, you feel a lack of events and unique places to explore. But that's just for now. Early access and all. Otherwise, it's a very pleasant 2 to 3 evening game. Pompeii the Legacy. The perfect option if you want to zone out. Like, really zone out for a long time. You can check out something city building. Here's the new Pompeii. We become head of a Roman family here and undertake to revive Pompeii 20 years after the catastrophe of 79 AD. The city's restoration turns into a long, almost 2-century saga. You need to not only lay roads, build aqueducts, and provide residents with food, but also conduct diplomatic negotiations with Roman emperors from Trajan to Marcus Aurelius. Their assignments bring bonuses, resources, and political influence. And the research system here divides into technologies and philosophy. The first opens new buildings and transport, and the second, management methods and social reforms. Trade connects Pompeii with the entire empire, lets you make deals, build sea routes, and keep your finger on the market's pulse. Well, and life under Vesuvius, as you remember, will never be calm. Earthquakes, fires, diseases, locust invasions, and even new eruptions force you to constantly balance between development and survival. Every decision here is important. The family accumulates experience and bonuses, and the city reacts to architectural and economic changes. Basically, a typical city builder with all its pros and cons. The new Skate. Not a nostalgic remaster, but a fresh reimagining of the cult series in the format of a modern online sandbox. The action takes place in San Vansterdam, almost Amsterdam, a huge city full of plazas, ramps, rooftops, and alleys where every corner can become a trick spot. The control system is still based on the signature flick-it mechanics. The board feels alive, tricks flow in smooth chains, and the animation polish lets you skate for hours. You can also hop off the board, run on foot, and even use parkour, making exploration part of the fun. In short, the core gameplay feels like the best the series has ever offered. But behind this solid foundation hides a live service model with all its baggage. The game is fully online, but there's no offline mode. Progress is tied to servers and daily tasks. The economy relies on loot boxes and slow in-game currency grind, and many challenges require co-op play, though most players prefer solo skating. The city, while large, has repetitive districts, no day-night cycle, and the story is reduced to a set of trials narrated by an AI assistant. It's a game for those who want endless trick practice and an active community, but not for fans of deep stories or the unique vibes of past installments. Slime Rancher 2, which reached full release the other day. If anyone doesn't know for some reason, it's a full sequel to the hit from Monomi Park, where we're once again with Beatrix LeBeau on Rainbow Island. Everything here is built on a familiar but updated formula. We explore sparkling landscapes, catch slimes, from the funny angler to the raccoon petrified during the day, and breed them for plorts, the local currency. Gathered resources go toward greenhouse improvements, equipment upgrades, and experiments with slime combinations. The world here is huge and vibrant, from glowing meadows to mysterious caves, and nighttime outings with slime's neon glow are especially mesmerizing. The farm gradually transforms into a living ecosystem where each new species changes the balance and opens fresh crafting ideas. The only downside, in my opinion, the story is presented kinda as background, through notes and rare calls from acquaintances, without particularly memorable characters except maybe the heroine. Minigames and quests that made the first part more dynamic disappeared, but resource grinding became deeper. To build, say, a teleporter or craft some rare gadgets, you'll have to seriously search for materials across the entire island. But overall, the game remains a cozy and meditative sandbox, with cute slimes and spacious farming mechanics, let's say. An expansion of the original's ideas rather than a step in a new direction. And let's finish with Shape of Dreams, a fresh roguelike action game that immediately stands out with an unusual genre combination. There's hack and slash dynamics with skill shots, co-op up to 4 people, MOBA spirit, and a development system that lets you build your own builds with almost no restrictions. We start the journey as one of 8 travelers go through a chain of surreal worlds, each with a unique boss and various dangers. Battles here are varied. 2 basic abilities can be completely rebuilt by inserting special support gems into them that change damage type, add secondary effects, or strengthen neighboring skills. There's a deja vu mechanic, the ability to start a run with a previously found ability combination, which makes experiment and achievement hunting a bit easier. Meanwhile, progression in the game feels like Risk of Rain 2. Heroes and perks unlock through in-game actions and quests, and currency farming happens in the runs themselves and for tasks. This doesn't interfere with playing right away. Basic skills and slots are enough to clear several worlds even on high difficulty immediately. Plus, co-op adds excitement. You can build synergy from healing builds to powerful combo chains. At the same time, each session isn't like the last. Levels and enemies are random, and there's no fixed goal here. From the downsides for now, probably just a moderate amount of cosmetics and locations. The first hours will give about 5 worlds and a dozen abilities, and then full upgrading of all heroes will take literally dozens of hours. Overall, very solid. Well, that's it for today. Write in the comments what stood out most and what you'll go play. I'm thinking about jumping into active matter, so it looks way too cool. Thanks for watching till the end. Don't forget to subscribe if you're here for the first time, and see you soon in new videos.